Obi-Wan, it looks like I may never see you again. I don't know quite how to say this, but I've loved you from the moment you came to my aid all those years ago.
All right. Had you said the word, I would have left the Jedi Order.
Should have chosen the dark side, Master Jedi. Your emotions betray you. I never planned on killing you, but I will make you share my pain, Kenobi.
Remember, my dear Obi-Wan. I've loved you always. I always will.
After last year's release of The Force Awakens, and with Episode 8 less than a year away, fans everywhere have been debating and theorizing over some of the mysteries that Episode 7 has. But there is one theory that has gained momentum lately, so that's what we're discussing. First, let's start with what Rey, or Daisy Ridley, tweeted recently.
After seeing The Force Awakens, she thought the answer was obvious, claiming the answer to Rey's lineage might be in the movie.
This, of course, led people to analyze Force Awakens looking for answers, and among the scenes, this is the particular scene that stood out. So is Rey related to Obi-Wan? How, might you ask? Well, this is where Clone Wars comes in, or more specific, Rebels. In the Season 3 episode, Visions and Voices, some interesting things have occurred. Now, I'm not a pro at recapping episodes, so I'm going to let this guy do it.
1. There's a picture of Duchess Satine on the wall. Maul's wall. Maul, as it were, killed Satine with 2. The Darksaber, an ancient Jedi weapon, a one-of-a-kind lightsaber that was stolen generations ago by the Mandalorians. Ezra wants to know what the Darksaber is. Maul won't tell him, simply saying Ezra's Mandalorian friend, Sabine, could explain it better. 3. At the end of the episode, Sabine takes the Darksaber, but not before a rather poignant pause.
If you're confused already about what the theory actually is, I'm going to go ahead and spell it out for you. What they're suggesting is that Sabine from Rebels is the daughter of Obi-Wan and Satine. This would mean that Duchess Satine gave birth to Sabine during the Clone Wars and kept her hidden from Obi-Wan, perhaps to save him from being banished by the Jedi Order. Now, in order to connect that with Rey, Sabine, being the daughter of Obi-Wan, would end up with Ezra, the main character from Rebels, or perhaps even Luke Skywalker, and thus have Rey. So that's where you get Rey connected directly to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan would be the grandfather. Seems solid, right?
I just jumped up to about 95%.
Well, not really. Here are a few problems I have with this theory. Number 1, Obi-Wan talking to Rey isn't enough to actually convince me. If anything, her being related to Luke would be more of an implication here, both with her connection to Luke's lightsaber and Obi-Wan, who was Luke's mentor. So that's where that kind of falls for me. Number 2, Sabine's mother was previously mentioned as being in Death Watch. Now, granted, we haven't actually seen her mother, but it was previously mentioned in Rebels. Number 3, coinciding with point number 2, this would also make sense as to why there's a pause of her looking at the black saber because of its deep ties to Death Watch, whom her mother is a part of. Number 4, though things in this episode center a bit around Obi-Wan and we see the image of Satine, that puts the history of Obi-Wan and Maul into focus because it's gearing towards its climax, their kind of final confrontation that's going to happen presumably within the course of this season. So while it is nice to see that, and it does have connections to Clone Wars, I think it's purely to drive Obi-Wan and Darth Maul's story forward. Number 5, and this seems kind of obvious to me, but physically Sabine bears no resemblance to Obi-Wan or Satine. There's just nothing to really connect the three of them together. And while in the original trilogy they were able to kind of get around that, I don't think they would use that kind of method here. I just don't know how that would work. Number 7, Sabine is 16 in Rebels, and this becomes an issue when talking of her conception. In the time of the Clone Wars, we see the few moments that Satine and Obi-Wan are together. And though they do confess their love to each other, that's as far as that actually goes. The only time we don't see is the first encounter they actually had, back when Qui-Gon was alive, obviously before the events in Phantom Menace. Given that there's an 8 to 9 year gap between the events of Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, and then the 3-year gap between the Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith, and then another 8 or so year gap between that and Rebels, you see where none of the numbers add up as far as how she could have been born way back then. And that would have been the only time that we don't see them, what happened when they were together. Number 8, while Sabine being Rey's mother would be cool for fans of Rebels, it wouldn't mean anything for casual movie fans, and thus lacks the impact that we would be looking for. And lastly, number 9, Sabine is nowhere in the original trilogy. So I'm not going to give any spoilers away for anything else, but we knew from the onset that these characters aren't likely to make it out of this series. Why? Because we do not see any indication of them once the original trilogy starts.
You disappoint me!
So those are all the reasons why I can't possibly foresee this theory to actually pan out. But what do you guys think? Can you see this theory working out? Is there something I missed in it? Go ahead and let me know in the comments below. In case you guys didn't know, I am on Patreon now. So what does that mean for you? Well, that means that you can show your support for my channel by clicking the link down in the description box. And whether it's $1 on up, anything that you give to help support my channel is really appreciated and helps me get to do basically what I love to do, which is review movies for you guys. The other cool thing is that you get to see some of these videos early, whether it be a couple days to a couple hours to a week in advance. So that's really cool. And depending on what level you get, I might even do reviews specifically geared to what you want me to review. So I think that's pretty cool. Hopefully you guys do too. Now with Christmas coming up, my schedule is going to be a little chaotic. So I'm going to try to still get videos out at the beginning of next week, a day after Christmas, but we'll see how it pans out. I'm just giving a little warning. It may be all over the place because I'm not sure what I can and can't get to yet. So hopefully you guys will have a good Christmas, and if you enjoyed this video, click that like button, share, subscribe to my channel, and watch my other vids. I do appreciate it. Until next time, peace.